So you know a little bit about me. I want to introduce Rob Rubinoff, who is with
C Spire Home.
All right, so C Spire Home. I will say, for full disclosure, Rob and I have worked together previously. In fact, Rob and I worked together very closely for a number of years before I took my role at the NCTC, and so it's really fun to be able to have him here on stage with me and for us to have these discussions. So, Rob, can you tell us a little bit about C Spire and what you do there?
Sure. I'm Rob Rubinoff. My friends call me Rube. I'd appreciate it if you all call me Rube moving forward. So I'm a product manager at C Spire, C Spire Home Group. C Spire is a wireless carrier. Primarily, we've been in that business for 26, 27 years now. And C Spire Home was created in 2014 by this guy, I think, pretty much. And basically leveraging off our numerous cell towers. We have fiber, thousands of miles of fiber infrastructure. And so we now deliver gigabit fiber to a number of cities and towns across Mississippi, growing, and recent announcements that we'll be moving into Birmingham, Mobile, and other areas in Alabama in 2020.
Well, awesome. So you mentioned a little bit, you said gigabit services. What other speeds do you offer on your services?
We offer one speed, up to 1,000 megabits per second. Typically, as most folks know, that's probably in the 940 to 960 range. We have to remind our customers that often.
Yeah, so a gig-only service, which makes you probably a little unique. At least I know many of our members offer a gig service, but they don't make it their exclusive offering. So with offering a gig-only service, how important is a great Wi-Fi service to that? So
it's critical. We've been in market since 2014, 2015, and we deliver this awesome fiber to the home, 960 megabits per second down and up, no data caps, great price. And we've got great NPS scores. We live by NPS at C Spire, and we're beat our tier one competitors like WWE moves, like SmackDown with NPS. And but the one ding we have is speed, and whether that comes through with our streaming television, or whether that comes through with someone doing a speed test on their iPhone, their iPhone 5 or 6 or something, that's the one ding that we have. There's this gap between what we call value, the speed value. And so Wi-Fi is incredibly important for us, and we've struggled with it, to be honest. We've struggled for several years. We started off using a off-the-shelf consumer-grade product. We thought we would invest some time and money and a lot of hours and years of effort to bring a kind of semi-custom piece of hardware that was going to solve our problem, and our consumer experience was crap. I can't tell a customer in 2020 to go to 192.168.1.1 and enter in some crazy username and password to do things like set up parental controls or limit access or do content filtering or those type of things. It's just, it's a no-go. And so Wi-Fi, I coined this with back at C Spire. We want to have a silky smooth blanket of high-speed Wi-Fi from wall to wall throughout the home. The customer needs to be able to walk from one end of the house to the other without jumping on and changing from 2.4 to 5 to 2.4 to access point. It just needs to be seamless.
So if you can't tell, if there's anything I ever say that's really cool, I probably got it from Rob. So he always has a great way to say things. It's always a lot of fun. So Rob and I worked on this for a number of years when we were doing this together. Now, sort of getting to work together as partners in this still, it's interesting to see. I will say C Spire was a group that the NCTC looked to as we were making our decision as to who we would move forward with on what I would call the premium Wi-Fi space. We looked to a number of other large members, and I think Armstrong has been pretty public about what they are doing there. They've been extremely successful at doing this as well, and so we're excited to have great members that help us with the engineering side. And if I could have you tell me a little bit about how you guys at C Spire made the decision to move forward with Plume. Like, what did you do on your testing and processes to get to this point?
Sure. So we're fortunate enough because we have this kind of history in the mobility side. We have a very robust testing lab with like Faraday cages and all kinds of crazy stuff like that, and we really put it through the paces. In terms of we had a runoff with Plume and 2 other vendors, globally known Wi-Fi vendors, and it was very close from a hardware standpoint. Sorry, from a kind of engineering experience type of standpoint. But at the end of the day, man, the guys, the engineers, once they got a view of that knock and could see how deep they could go, and that in talking with Plume that they talked the same language, that was key. And then getting it in front of our care reps and seeing that, I could put in a customer name and it'll identify on that dashboard if there is a pod that's having some issues, and it'll diagnose it, and I can click on it and it actually walks me through the steps, like how to troubleshoot. And so when we start to see all that, and then you add in the fact that for all intents and purposes, it's a built-in malware and security product for inside the home. We'd been looking for at some different software vendors for a while, and dealing with them, they're wanting to get their teeth in our billing relationships and to try to upsell our customers and do all that stuff. And here it is, all built into this awesome app that's rated 4.7, 4.8. I mean, it's like, why not? Like, that's where we ultimately came to that conclusion.
Well, I appreciate you talking about that. One of the things that we really rely on from an NCTC perspective is our members' ability to be able to go through and do these kinds of tests and these kinds of deep dives, because we don't have our own engineering staffs in house, and we're very grateful for C Spire's role in that. You mentioned your customer service agents. One of the things that I wanted to ask you a little bit about, and knowing a little bit of that side of the house, and knowing that customer service isn't always super excited about when we roll new things out, and I think you guys probably all have those same issues where sometimes they get a little afraid and what the experience is going to be like. I wanted to ask you really a 2-part question. How did the customer service side handle this, your call center? And what about your techs? What's their reaction been so far?
Those are great questions. So over the years, we've promised this vision of proactive care. We've been told from various vendors that, if we subscribe to their service, their device management type of service, that our care reps are going to be able to diagnose stuff before it even happens, and we're going to be able to reach out and do all this proactive stuff. And so they're kind of tired of me flashing the latest, greatest thing in front of them. But when they actually saw, and we had a bunch of testers, when they actually saw that our GM's son's pod, Ryan's room, was red, and you click through it and actually see the steps of what to do and how to troubleshoot it, they were bought in. And then on the tech side, we did something real smart. We gave some test pods to them and let them get that buy-in and they're totally on board and are really excited. You know, the whole model of setting one, you know, access point in the center of the home and trying to crank it up to 11 to try to reach all the nooks and crannies, they're getting beat up. And I hate to say it, but over time, especially the last 18 months, last year, our techs have been reticent to recommend our own Wi-Fi solution. They lost faith in it. And they were, you know, they would look in a customer's eye and say, hey, you know what, you're much better off going to Best Buy or going down to Target and picking up a mesh Wi-Fi system or getting it on Amazon. We'll set it up for you, but you're going to be much better there. And so for our techs to have this belief in the product, to have used it, to have the app, to have like the quick onboarding, we're really, really excited. And so far the adoption, I guess the internal adoption of this product has been phenomenal.
Well, that's awesome. So you guys have just recently rolled out. Impressions so far, excuse me, from customers.
Customers, so there's been a buzz about it. We didn't have a big launch, but we had a press release go out, and you know, there's been some social talk about it. And so a lot of the technophile customers, whether they be C Spire employees or people that know, are already upgrading. Whether they had their own Wi-Fi or whether they had our Wi-Fi, they're making the choice to upgrade. And then we've kind of just whole host across the board. We now install Plume as our default Wi-Fi for the same price that we were doing the old product. And the feedback has been really good. And more importantly, I've been eyeballing the passives and detractors because we get a message every time they come in on our 3-day. We do an NPS survey after 3 days of an install, and we're not getting any speed issues, which dogs us, and as a gigabit fiber provider is kind of like a kidney punch. You don't never want to hear that speed is the issue that someone's having in the home.
Well, you know, one of the things that Rob and I worked on right before I left C Spire was, excuse me, a project where we were rolling out a lot of different services to our customers. I see these cups up here, but they're tipped upside down with no water in them, so that doesn't help me a lot. One of the things that was funny was, so Rob and I both worked a lot with a lot of interns that we had, so a lot of these college kids that were coming in. And it was really sort of funny to me that we continually had to correct them on how we wanted them to talk about the products we were offering because they continually called internet Wi-Fi. So I don't know if you've heard that before from your customers, but it has become the lingo, and it is not, I don't believe, unique just to college-age kids, but it seems to be, thank you, Todd, it seems to be this real world thing that people say, you know, they start talking about Wi-Fi, and Wi-Fi is their internet, is what they really mean. Their internet is not working properly. They don't know how to distinguish the two.
Yeah, so in our world, we created this artificial line that somehow ends on the side of the premise, right? The premises. There's like this, you know, certain teams and certain folks within the organization just think that our job is to deliver a gig to basically to the side of the house. That's just not real. It needs to go to where people are using it, whether it's their Xbox, their phone, their Kindle, you know, their C Spire TV, you know, on a Fire Stick. That's where the experience is. And so, you know, one of the big pushes for us is strategically, I know Tyson was talking about this, is my boss taught me about this concept of being a hedgehog, of finding something that you love, that you can be really world-class at, and just focusing on that. And rather than, you know, getting ourselves into 100 different angles and directions of trying to find, you know, the next best thing for our customers, we're going to really double down on fiber and broadband. And so finding a partner like Plume allows us to, you not have to go run and spend a tremendous amount of energy developing our own world-class solution for Wi-Fi. It's there. So let's partner with them, let's bring it on board, and let's really make our broadband truly a premium kind of offering. We only offer one speed. It's not the cheapest product in town. And we want this thing to be a no-brainer. Once you try the product, once you get the Plume, once you experience our reps and our customer care, you got to be an idiot to drop it, is kind of our goal. And so Plume is factoring as an important part of that roadmap. Well,
thank you very much, Rob. I will say, I think that your approach to this is very admirable. I think that actually it's probably shared by many of our different members that are here in the room, that they want to have that same thing. They want to have that sticky factor. And so I think your experiences with this and your knowledge and being able to share this with everyone else has been extremely helpful, and I appreciate it very much. I know Plume does as well. And with this, I think I will wrap, and we'll turn it back over to Tyson to wrap us up for the evening.